The evening wind swept through the city streets, carrying the smell of food from a nearby restaurant. Sarah sat quietly on the sidewalk, her back pressed against the brick wall. Her baby lay in her arms, breastfeeding gently, wrapped in a thin, faded blanket. Sarah hadn't eaten all day, but that wasn't the worst part. She looked down at her child's tiny feet, bare and exposed to the cold. I just need some help, she whispered to herself, her voice trembling with exhaustion, just enough to buy clothes for her. People passed by, some glanced at her, most didn't. She didn't blame them. She had become invisible, just another struggling woman on the street. But she wasn't just anyone. She was a mother trying to protect her child. A man in a tailored coat slowed his pace as he noticed her. His expression changed from curiosity to concern. He stepped closer, then crouched down beside her. "Hey, young lady, are you okay?" he asked softly. "Are you hungry?" Sarah looked up at him. He didn't look like someone who belonged in that part of town. Clean cut, confident, yet here he was, talking to her. "Yes, sir," she replied quietly. "I haven't eaten since yesterday. I'm just trying to get something, anything. I need to buy clothes for my baby. It's getting cold." The man looked at the baby, then back at Sarah. "Where's the baby's father?" "He left me," she said flatly. "When I told him I was pregnant, he walked away and never came back. It's been just me and her ever since." He nodded slowly, as if weighing something in his mind. Then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small white business card. "My name is James. I own a company just a few streets away. We're looking for someone to help with cleaning. It's not much, but it's honest work. If you want it, come tomorrow morning. Ask for me." Sarah's eyes widened. You'd give me a job?" "I believe in giving people a chance," James said. "You're out here trying, not giving up. That means something." Tears welled in her eyes. "Thank you, sir. I'll be there." The next morning, dressed in the cleanest clothes she owned, Sarah walked into the large glass office building with her baby tied snugly to her back. She approached the front desk nervously. "Good morning. A man gave me this card yesterday. He said I could come today to start work." The receptionist, a friendly woman named Hannah, smiled as she read the card. "Oh, yes, Mr. James. He's the CEO. You'll need to speak to our office manager first, Miss Agnes." Sarah followed the directions upstairs. When she entered, Agnes looked up with a frown. "Why are you here with a baby?" she snapped. "I'm sorry, Ma," Sarah said. "Mr. James already said it was okay. I'll make sure my baby doesn't disturb anyone." Agnes sighed. "Fine, but one problem, and you're out." Sarah bowed her head. "Thank you, Ma." Her journey had just begun, but she wasn't on the streets anymore. Sarah stepped into the office corridor, mop in hand and her baby strapped snugly to her back. The floors gleamed, the air smelled of fresh paper and coffee, and polished shoes clicked across tiled floors as suited staff moved swiftly between meetings. It was a different world, one she never imagined being a part of. She kept her head down, cleaning quietly, making sure her baby stayed asleep. She didn't want any trouble, especially not from Agnes, the office manager, who made it clear she didn't approve of Sarah's presence. Some of the staff whispered when they passed her. "Who brings a baby to work? Is she really the new cleaner? Did Mr. James actually hire her off the street?" Sarah heard it all, but she kept working. She wasn't there to impress anyone. She was there to survive for her child. By lunch break, she found a quiet corner near the stairwell and sat on the floor, gently breastfeeding her baby. She hadn't eaten all day. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it, smiling down at her daughter who fed peacefully. Suddenly, a voice startled her. "You shouldn't be sitting here." Sarah looked up. It was Agnes, arms crossed, frown sharp as ever. I'm sorry," Sarah stammered. "I just needed a quiet place. She was hungry and—" "This is a professional environment. We can't have babies crying or cleaners sitting in corners like beggars." "You've been warned, Sarah." "Don't test my patience." Before Sarah could respond, another voice interrupted. "I think she's doing just fine." Agnes turned. James stood there, watching them. "Mr. James," Agnes said quickly, adjusting her tone. "I was just reminding her about the work guidelines." "She's working hard, and she's not disturbing anyone," James said firmly. "She deserves our support, not warnings." Agnes clenched her jaw but said nothing more. With a small nod, she walked off. James looked at Sarah and offered a soft smile. "Are you okay?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, sir. Thank you." Later that afternoon, as Sarah was wiping down tables in the break room, a young woman approached her. Her name was Tasha, a junior staff member with kind eyes. Hey, Tasha said softly, I saw what happened earlier. Don't let people like Agnes get to you. She's strict with everyone. Sarah smiled shyly. Thank you. I just want to do my job and take care of my baby. You're doing great, Tasha replied. If you ever need help, just let me know. It was the first time someone outside James had shown her kindness in that building. By the end of the day, Sarah was exhausted but proud. She had completed her tasks, kept her baby calm, and stood her ground through whispers and warnings. That night, back in the tiny room she rented behind a local shop, Sarah held her baby close. I think things are starting to change, she whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. For the first time in a long while, she believed it. 2 weeks passed, and Sarah had quickly become known as the quiet but hardworking cleaner in the office. She arrived early every morning with her baby on her back and left only when the floors were spotless and every desk had been wiped. She didn't complain, didn't slack, and never asked for favors. But not everyone appreciated her effort. Agnes watched her like a hawk, waiting for one small mistake. She still didn't like the idea of a baby in the office, and even less that James, the CEO himself, had personally hired Sarah. Still, Sarah pressed on. One afternoon, the office buzzed with energy. Rumor had it that a major project deal was about to be finalized. A partnership with a multinational company. The chairman of the board, Mr. Frank, was coming in for a visit to finalize the documents. Everyone was tense. Employees rushed around, fixing details, tidying up, and rehearsing presentations. Agnes was barking orders, making sure everything looked perfect. Sarah had just finished cleaning the front reception area. Her baby, who had been quiet all morning, began to fuss. She checked the time. It was feeding time. She hesitated, unsure of where to go. All the offices were full. The only quiet place was the reception seat she'd just cleaned. I'll be quick, she whispered, sitting down and carefully beginning to breastfeed her baby. Just then, the front doors opened. A tall man in a dark blue suit stepped inside. Mr. Frank, the chairman himself. He paused when he saw Sarah. For a moment, Sarah's heart stopped. She began to stand, apologizing. I'm sorry, sir, I'll move. But Mr. Frank raised a hand gently. It's all right, he said. You don't have to stand. I understand. You're feeding your child. Sarah nodded shyly, heart pounding. You know, Mr. Frank continued, if you ever need to do this again, feel free to use one of the staff offices. You deserve dignity, not judgment. Before Sarah could thank him, Agnes rushed into the lobby, her eyes wide with horror. Mr. Frank, I apologize for this scene. This is very inappropriate. She shouldn't be breastfeeding here. We have clients coming in. But Mr. Frank turned sharply. Agnes, stop. She's a mother doing her best. I don't see anything wrong with this. In fact, I see strength, dedication. Agnes blinked, stunned. And if I'm not mistaken, he continued, this is the young woman James hired recently, correct? Yes, Agnes muttered. Well, I commend him for it. More companies should give opportunities to people who deserve them. As he walked past, Sarah sat frozen, tears quietly falling from her eyes, not from shame, but from relief. Someone had spoken up for her. Again. Later that day, James approached her with a gentle smile. You've made quite an impression today, he said. Mr. Frank sees potential in you, and I do too. Sarah looked at him confused. Sir, I think it's time we helped you grow beyond cleaning. Her world paused for a moment. Could her life really change? The next morning, Sarah arrived at work earlier than usual. The sunrise had barely touched the city skyline as she stood in front of the tall office building, staring up with nervous excitement. James's words from the day before still echoed in her mind. I think it's time we helped you grow beyond cleaning. She didn't know exactly what that meant, but it gave her hope, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Inside, the building felt different today. Staff nodded politely, some even smiled. A few who had once whispered about her were now silent or slightly embarrassed. It seemed that Mr. Frank's public support had changed the way people saw her. After finishing her usual cleaning duties, she received a message from Hannah at the front desk. Mr. James wanted to see her in his office. Her heart raced. She carried her baby with her, dressed neatly in the same plain blouse she wore every day. When she stepped into James's office, he stood by the window, a cup of coffee in hand. Come in, Sarah, he said warmly. How are you feeling today? Nervous, she admitted, but grateful. Mhm. James gestured to a seat. You've done incredibly well here, and after yesterday, Mr. Frank and I both agree you deserve more than just a mop and broom. You deserve a real chance. Sarah stared at him, unsure if she'd heard correctly. There's a part-time assistant role opening in the admin department. Filing, organizing documents, and some basic typing. You'd be trained, of course. It's not glamorous, but it's a step forward. Interested? Her mouth opened slightly and tears filled her eyes. Yes, I'd love that, but what about my baby? We've already arranged something, James said. Starting next week, you can bring her to the staff daycare upstairs. We've spoken with the HR team. It's taken care of. Sarah stood up, hands shaking. I don't know how to thank you. You already have, he smiled. You showed us what resilience looks like. That afternoon, Sarah was introduced to Mrs. Clara, a soft-spoken woman in her 50s who headed the admin department. She's God's spirit, James told Clara. Teach her everything you can. Clara welcomed Sarah with a warm smile. I started here as a secretary. If I can grow, so can you. The next few days were a whirlwind. Sarah spent her mornings learning to type, file, and organize data while continuing her cleaning tasks in the afternoons. She was tired, but a different kind of tired, a good kind. For the first time, she wasn't just surviving, she was building something. That night, she watched her baby sleep beside her on their shared mattress. She gently touched the child's cheek and whispered, We're getting there, one step at a time. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars. But inside Sarah's heart, a new light had just begun to shine. 3 months later, Sarah walked into the office not as a cleaner, but as an administrative assistant, confident, composed, and determined. Her baby now stayed in the upstairs daycare, cared for by professionals while Sarah worked just a few floors below. Every morning, she kissed her daughter goodbye with a smile and a promise. Mommy is working hard for both of us. The transformation didn't go unnoticed. Her typing was still slow and her filing not always perfect, but she learned quickly, asked questions, and stayed after hours to practice. Mrs. Clara often smiled proudly, watching Sarah grow into her new role like a flower blooming after a storm. One day, the company prepared for a big celebration. A project that Sarah had once cleaned around was finally completed and launched. The office was buzzing with excitement. There would be a gathering in the conference hall with speeches, food, and awards for standout employees. Sarah hadn't expected to be part of it. She stood quietly by the wall in the back of the hall, watching her coworkers laugh and chat. Then she saw James step up to the microphone at the front. The room fell silent. Today is more than a celebration of success, James said. It's about recognizing the people who helped us get here, not just those with titles, but those with heart. He paused, scanning the room until his eyes met Sarah's. 3 months ago, I met someone who reminded me what resilience looks like. She came to us, not with a resume, but with a baby on her back and the will to survive. She started as a cleaner. Today, she's part of our admin team. And tomorrow, well, I think her future is brighter than she knows. Whispers filled the room. Eyes turned. Sarah's heart pounded. Sarah, James continued, come join me up here. Her hands trembled as she stepped forward, every step a reminder of how far she'd come, from a sidewalk to a stage. When she reached him, James handed her a small certificate in a white envelope. This is a recognition of your growth, and inside this envelope, he smiled, is a scholarship. We want to sponsor you for a part-time business course. I believe one day you'll do more than assist. You'll lead. Sarah covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Tears filled her eyes as the entire office stood and clapped. Afterward, Agnes approached her quietly. Her expression was different, no longer cold, but respectful. You proved me wrong, Agnes admitted, and I'm glad you did. Sarah smiled. Thank you. That evening, walking home, Sarah carried her baby in one arm and the envelope in the other. The wind blew gently, but it no longer felt cold. The streetlights flickered like candles lighting a path forward. She looked at her daughter and whispered, we made it, baby, and this is just the beginning. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.